Hey, friends, welcome to yet another episode of the Power of Nine podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Eggert. Our guest today realized through his journey that there's a common thread between experiences and how to move people. He uses his formal education in psychology to guide the process in making that happen. We're going to get after all that and more with my buddy, Skylar Werde. Skylar, welcome to the show, buddy.
Thanks for having me. You have a great podcast voice, I have to say. It's just right on.
It's the microphone. You just got to buy,
Okay.
You buy a fancy microphone. It makes you sound like Casey Kasem.
There you go.
Is that even a thing? Maybe. Okay. Never mind. Ryan.
Top 40. Is that? Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Let's be relevant here, right?
Right. I mean, is he around either? I don't even know if that's relevant anymore.
I think he's, I don't know. I don't even know what's relevant anymore. I'm 44, dude. Like I
True. Yeah. It's all downhill. Yeah.
I know. Yeah. Well, I'm super pumped to have you on the show. Before I dig into asking you a bunch of questions about you, tell me your pronouns.
He, him.
Awesome. So I have become friends with you over the last couple of years. We were introduced by someone, and for the life of me, it escapes me. Do you remember how we got connected?
Yeah, it was when I was at Bridgeworks. It was Lonnie Bassa.
Oh, yes, that's right. How interesting.
A long time ago.
Lonnie's awesome. And your wife works with Lonnie, and your wife works with me, and now you're a Coalition 9 member, and we're buddies. Coalition 9 aside, you're just a good dude that I like to hang out with. So play some golf together.
Yeah, we're one big happy family. It's awesome.
Right. I feel like I'm part of the Werde family. So I'm going to dig right in. You were born in New York, but you were raised in California. How much time did you spend on the East Coast?
Not much. I think I was there until like second grade. Okay. So not a ton of time, or first grade. But I went back. Go back all the time, multiple times a year.
Yeah. What drew your family to California then from the East Coast?
So my dad's a crazy inventor. He actually was pulled out there for Mattel Toys and ran boys' toys for years, and then moved into ran a record company for a while. So the joke is that I grew up, like, all the things I was into, I grew up experiencing through my dad's work. So after music was he worked for Jinko jeans. Remember those giant jeans?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
I forgot about those.
Yeah, so we had that moment too. Yeah.
Jeez.
And I was in dog toys, so
Oh, crazy! What record company did he work for?
Reiner Records. It was part of Warner Brothers. They bought it. It's now, they did a lot of compilations. That was their thing.
Really? Yeah. Anything that would let's try and not date ourselves here, but maybe anything that I would know.
Literally, what they did was all dated. So it was all like 70s and 80s, like box sets. Like, remember, like very cool design boxes. Yeah.
All right.
They're still on Spotify. Check them out. Yeah.
All right. I'll make sure to do that.
Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, the movie was their movie.
Oh, really?
Saw that with Johnny Depp. That was their movie. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They did a couple. Yeah.
Oh, that's a trippy movie too. So, yeah.
It's all coming together now.
It is all coming together. I love it. So you then moved to California. Talk to me a little bit about your family dynamic and just that whole experience of growing up on the West Coast.
Yeah, I mean, the West Coast, it's funny, especially being like East Coast DNA in the West Coast is a very strong combination, weird combination at times.
Yeah.
But I mean, where I lived in the beach cities, so like we had surf PE, 6 a.m. You went to surf PE. That's pretty crazy. It was as stereotypical as like Beverly Hills sometimes, with like, how lunches were and stuff like that. But yeah, it's a interesting dynamic. It's not a place that I would ever want to live again. I love visiting, but California's got its own little rat race, if you will, which is why we came out to Minnesota, is because we just love the people and love the culture, down to earth culture here. So I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah. So when you were growing up, what was your first job in high school?
I was, and still am, a certified balloonatic. I started working at the age of 13, had a family friend owned a balloon store, and we would literally do the balloons for like the Jerry Lewis telethon. We did the balloons for Disney, the Scientology compound. I was known for their balloons.
Wow.
So I worked there from like 13 to 17. So came home sticking of latex balloons.
And I love that you're a balloonatic. Balloonatic. Is that a coined term by that store, or is
by
that
them?
okay?
Yep.
That's not an industry term.
There's a test to become a certified balloonatic. You had to make like 100 balloons in 10 minutes, something crazy to 10 minutes. Yeah, my hands would like bleed from putting the balloons together so much. But,
oh my gosh. Yeah. Do you have to, so to maintain your certification, do you need to do that every year, or is that just a one-time thing and you got it for the rest of your life?
Every year, I go out and buy as many balloons as I can. I fill up our house with balloons. It's funny. Of all the jobs I've had, the skills from that job come up more often. And I make like balloon arches and I get really mad when they're done incorrectly.
Right.
But yeah.
Right. The going to the state fair has got to be a painful experience for you.
I can't open my eyes. Yeah, it's awful.
Stay out of the midway. All right. So you were you into sports or anything like that in high school, or what was your jam? And from an extracurricular activity standpoint?
Yeah, I was a wrestler, which in California is it's not as big as the Midwest, but I was a big time wrestler. I started freshman year in high school and varsity that first year. I loved it. Loved everything about it. And then my senior year in high school, I moved to Arizona. So I gave it up. I only did it for three years. But you did it year round.
Yeah. And you, and then you stayed in state in Arizona and you went to college, right?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I always wanted to go to Arizona anyway. So it worked out perfectly when we moved. It was a chance to meet everybody my senior year that I would be wrestling or going to college with later that next year.
I feel like there's certain states that have this like almost hatred of one another from a college standpoint. And I, just because I'm from Minnesota in the Midwest, I see Iowa and Iowa State. So I've got friends that are rabid Iowa Hawkeye fans, and I've got friends that are rabid Iowa State Cyclone fans. Is that the same? Would you say it's kind of the same thing in Arizona with Arizona and Arizona State?
I mean, U of A is just a better school and has a better sports program. So I don't think anyone's going to compete against us in that way. But yeah, I mean, Iowa State, I think it's like deep in your blood. ASU, U of A, there's definitely a rivalry. I don't think it's like who's the bigger party school. I mean, you both get drunk.
Right. Right. We'll get it. Well, I'm sure we'll get into that at some point. So sure. I have never mind. I'm gonna sit on that for a second. So is that did U of A, is that where you met your wife?
Basically. So when I moved to Arizona, it was my senior year. Like what a bummer, essentially, to you're leaving your friends in California. And I moved really close to where my wife lived. And through a connection, someone said, you guys should hang out. And we became really close friends. And then we were in the same dorm. We got randomly placed in the same dorm. So we got really close, and yeah, we've been together for a very long time, very long time. Married for 12 years. So yeah.
And that some of the things you did from a philanthropic standpoint in college, and so summer camp, you did, and that's really where you guys solidified your bond, as coming up to the Midwest, which eventually brought you here. So that's an interesting and that's super cool story. So what was that you were doing over the summers?
So my wife actually lived here, Erin, who's part of Coalition 9. She lived in Minnesota until 5th grade, and then moved to Arizona. But she stayed going to the same summer camp. And so she one summer said, you should be a staff member, and fell in love with the community and the camp itself. And since then, I've been on their board, and we've both been very active in that community. And it's an independent camp, so it's run by those that are dedicated. So I feel very fortunate to have obviously found her, but also found the community she grew up in. So it's big.
I debated on having both of you together on the podcast, and I kind of thought to myself, what would that dynamic be like? But I think it was just, I am going to have her on at some point, but I wonder what that would have been like and I can't wait to see if she tells that same story.
Oh yeah, I mean, she would call me on my bullshit right away. I mean, she's very direct, and I have a lot of bullshit. I mean,
Yeah.
tons. I mean, truthfully, it's amazing how much I'm like, why did I say that? Is that really something I should say? And she's very straight and narrow. But yeah, I mean, we've worked, the two of us have worked together on and always have been truly partners in a lot of what we do. And one, you mentioned philanthropic. We a big turning point in our lives, in our careers, we had a very close friend from this camp who got ALS at the age of, I want to say 28, 26, something like that. And a group of our friends every Sunday would have dinner with him. And Aaron and I had a chance to run a fundraiser for the ALS TDI Association. And that was like a huge connection point for the two of us. And, you know, she got to call me on my bullshit, and we got to raise some money. And, you know, she's the organized one and actually make shit happen. I just do the talking. So it worked out well. But
yeah, that's you and Aaron have the same type of mindsets as my wife and I do. You're the monkey and she's the camel, and I'm the monkey and she's the camel. So someone's got to keep a guy like you and someone like me on the straight and narrow, otherwise, and to call us out on our bullshit.
Oh, for sure. I mean, yeah, I would be. I don't even want to like guess where I'd be if it wasn't for her. So yeah, I'm sure it's the same.
Tell what were some of the jobs you had that you loved the most when you were in college, besides the summer camp job?
So, you know, I have a lot of like fun jobs, but I've also tried to keep a humbling job at the same time. So I ran promotions for 4 radio stations in college. And then at the same time, I was also working with kids with autism. And that connection point to the disability, the community, has always been important to me. And so I did both, which was, you know, I got to go have beers at concert, you know, classic rock concerts, and then go deal with nonverbal kids that were biting me. So, you know, similar but different. I don't know.
I think it is similar in certain ways, depending on how much alcohol is involved. Probably.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Yeah. Why psychology? What was the deal behind that?
So I've always had an interest in how people perceive the world around them. And then even more so in my grad work was around how systems impact the individual, and how you can put a system in place that can steer a person one way or another. And so in college, I started in psychology and moved into special education. Don't really know why. That's a whole other story. And then continued in psychology in grad school right after, because what the education thing wasn't the right fit. So but yeah, it's always been about perception, about how do you steer people in a direction. How are you the neck that steers the rest of the body? Yeah.
What was your first gig after grad school then? You like your first real job, let's call it?
I was an administrator at a private school. And I look back now and I'm like, why did anyone hire me to be an administrator at a private school? And why did I want to do that? It is very humbling, because I pushed too hard, and was too overconfident, and learned a lot in that process about shutting up. Mostly.
How long were you there?
3 years. I did a 3-year stint.
How many teachers were you responsible for?
So I was responsible for 50 unionized private school teachers, which was a very wacky combo. My focus was more on the students and communicating with the parents, and helping to train the teachers to communicate better with the students and the parents. Problem was, I wasn't a parent. I wasn't, but I thought I knew everything. You know, fresh out of school.
Right. In our 20s. Yep.
Read it in a book. I must know. Yeah.
So you said a term to me when we were doing our prep call that you noticed that there was a disconnect between business and education, and you wanted to lean in on the business side. What was that aha moment?
That's always been a thing. So that's actually why originally I moved from business and psychology in college to education, as I thought you can always learn business, but you can't necessarily become a subject matter expert unless you start somewhere. And I saw this opportunity to disrupt education. Not the first million people had thought of it. But I kept on going down this path to truly understand how can I do it. It kind of came into fruition in a weird way, and right outside of my time at the private school. But I still believe, going back to that comment, I still believe that there is that education in schools in particular run in their own system. But business has proven itself to be successful in a way that could lean itself into the school, and vice versa. I think that teachers in education, how they train students and the teachers themselves, should be applied into the business world as well. You don't spend a lot of time in development, or enough time in development, in a way that people actually take hold onto to truly develop.
So we've had guests on in the past that have talked about the education system, and we just have people that have in our community, in Coalition 9 community, that also play a role with either their businesses or maybe some of their policy work related to education, and all of them have said that it's broken, right? So Mondo Davison, he's building schools because of the broken system, and especially in an urban environment. And then also Khalik Rogers, he's spent a lot of time on student-centered learning. What's your opinion on the education? I know this is like, I am opening Pandora's box, so we could
totally. I mean,
keep in mind, I try and keep the podcast to like 55 minutes.
Right. Actually, I can keep it pretty short. I mean, I there's a reason I backed away from it. I don't, there's too much bureaucracy. I can't, one individual will not make the difference. One community won't make the difference. And though it is important to have multiple communities starting to bend and be willing to try and make change, I think that the hardest part is that we have an old system that has not changed in any way in generations. But I don't have a very concrete answer there. I mean, I've been away from it for a long time. Right. And rightfully so. Those that are in it have like an incredible passion, an incredible heart, and perseverance that I just don't have.
Right.
So that doesn't really answer your question, but if I had the answer, I don't know, I'd run for Senate or something. I think, I mean, it's going to take dramatic change to structure, to curriculum, to listening to kids, honestly. We don't take any time to really consider, I don't think, to really truly consider the student.
Yeah. How old are your kids?
2 and 5, 2 boys.
Yeah. What are you going to do with them? So your oldest son, what kind of school is he going to go to? What are you going to do for education for those kids?
Did Aaron put you up to this?
I love this though.
We're in debate. I mean, we support public education in a big way. It was actually I was conflicted when I went to private. But we're trying to decide, like, for our child, like, the size of class is going to matter. So I don't know. We don't know. We've got 1 year. We've got 1 year. We've maybe an immersion program or something. We'll see.
Yeah. Sweet. All right, cool. Well, I'm glad that I asked that question. That I could tell you guys are working through that. So you've got time.
I never thought I was gonna care that much. It was supposed to be easy, like your neighborhood school, right? You just send them to your neighborhood school. But in this day and age, and in Minnesota in particular, it's a harder decision.
Totally.
There's more options, which is good, but.
And, I think the amount of people, because of the year year and a half we just went through, people are transitioning into homeschool too. And even the perception on homeschool is different versus what the old school mindset of homeschool is. It's just a different experience.
Totally. I can't imagine being home with my kids any more than I did in the last 18 months. Are you kidding? But more power to those that can.
Yeah, right. Right. All right. So when did you what was your first out of school, out of education? What was your first gig then that you did in business?
So this is like kind of the bridge. And actually I used a lot in education in this job, but there's a company called Bridgeworks that is a generational consulting firm. It's really, when I first started there, it was a speaking company that focused on generational dynamics. How do you attract and retain next generation talent? How do you keep knowledge from walking out the door when boomers are retiring? And that became more and more important. They've been around for 20 years. But the owner at the time had identified that we were speaking on stages, doing very well, talking a lot about problems, not giving a solution. And so I was hired to build a consulting arm of the firm, and then also to develop a sales program as well. So we were able to turn that company after 4 years of being there and sell it, which was really great experience. And then I ran the company for 2 years after that, 2+ years.
And that's when I met you.
Yeah, exactly. Right at the end there. Yeah.
Right at the end there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, we were also working on marketing and helping different products or services market themselves in specific generations as well.
And even when you were running that business, the last couple of years, I still kind of got the vibe that you were a bit of a sales guy, and you've always got like this. And I love sales. We're all salespeople, I guess, in one way. And no matter what guest I have on here, even if they're they think they're the most non-salesperson person, they are, right? But you had to sell. And do you think that some of the experiences that you had in education and then just, the application of psychology made you a good people person and a better person to drive revenue?
Yeah, I think it's psychology, obviously, and we'll go down that path. But education. I mean, have you ever tried to convince a kid to do something? I mean, that is the hardest sale in the world, and the only way to really do it is to step back and understand their perspective. I mean, if you force a hand, maybe they'll do it once, they'll never do it again. And so, similarly, and that's my psychological framework in sales is truly being a consultant. I mean, listening and understanding where your opportunity is from their perspective. And so generations was really easy because there's a lot of pain, right? You're hiring and you can't hire, you can't find anyone, specifically younger workers. Well, let's really understand that and understand where that pain is impacting the organization and then value sell beyond that. So yes, psychology is a huge part of it. More specifically, perspective taking and listening.
I guess I would also say too, trying to get 50 unionized teachers to buy into an idea or something like that. If you can sell 50 people on that, I think you're probably doing pretty damn good.
Not sure I did that, but I tried. That's how tough.
Well, even if you failed, you probably learned on something, right?
Totally. I fail all the time. Yeah. No, failure is the best. I look forward to failure.
Yeah.
That's why I married my wife. She can call me on my shit. Anyway, go ahead.
I love it. We should have done this with her. Maybe we'll do that as like, I'll do a podcast with her, and then maybe like in a year we'll do both. Yeah. And just see what bullshit that she can call you out on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Good. So you spent a good amount. So how long did you spend at Bridgeworks?
Like 6.5 years.
Yeah. And then about the time I met you, you were you were still there, but then your mindset was changing and it was time for a new start. And I remember us having multiple conversations about that. And then you landed at Lola Red with Alexis. Talk to me a little bit about that transition and kind of the why behind that for you.
Yeah, there's a few pieces. So when Bridgeworks was under new ownership, was really looking to become more of a Deloitte style consulting firm. And as the president, what I had noticed over the years was that Deloitte exists. I mean, there's a bunch of Deloittes. They're huge. They do a great job. We don't need another one necessarily. We were working hard to tap into markets that weren't tapped before, in terms and specifically the trades world. So how do you get more students or into the trades? Which was great, which was really great work, very, very noble work. But the two didn't go hand in hand. There wasn't a good marriage. Like, you can't be Deloitte and walk into a school and say, hey, you should join the trades. It was a very weird relationship. So I was just starting to see that, the way it was going was right for someone who wanted that style of work. I was having conversations with Alexis at Lola Red at the same time, kind of helping her think about how her company can grow. It was 20 years, and she had grown to a point where she knew it couldn't be about her. It had to be about something larger. And what is the Lola Red brand? And so that's fun for me. Like, I love being able to see the vision and help put the pieces together. Same time, a huge EOS fan, and she needed an implementer. She needed someone to basically say, like, let's aim at this part of the vision, not all of it. And that's what we set out to do. And so I joined the team, and just experienced a ton of turnover very quickly, because it was COVID, lots of natural change, but also people wanted to have direction, and they hadn't had it for a long time.
Yeah. And that world of PR and let's just call the broad brushstroke of marketing, like, that is just all of our groups, our Coalition 9 groups, talk about the war on talent, and that I know it's just a pressure cooker. Yeah.
I mean, we lost 15 people in 12 months, and we were 15 when I started. So we fully flipped over. I mean, the war on talent is real. I do think that if the culture is strong enough, people will stay on longer. However, and this is like generational research, typically a lot of those that are leaving are in a younger generation. Millennials are now 40 plus. So you keep that in mind, your image of a millennial. They stay in a job for between 1 and 3 years. And now you've got all this pressure of thinking about your values and thinking about, what's the right place for me. That timeline is going to get shorter and shorter. It's more important that they're finding a place that fits right than it is the dollars that go along with it. That being said, there's also a lot of dollars flying around too.
There is. It's insane. I had someone send me an email that they said that they had one of their leaders leave the organization and took a 70% raise. That's insane, right? Like, and that person's in a leadership position, so they're being compensated nicely, and 70% is nothing to shake a stick at. That's insane.
No, but if the culture's not there, I mean, yeah, sure, you can do it for a year or two because it's insane money, but like, at some point you're going to realize, like, you only got one shot at this life. Like, how you want to dedicate 10 to 15 years, you're going to make a ton of money, you can't spend any of it. Like, is it worth it?
Yeah. And so you and I had then talked about you need to make a transition in it because you just wanted to be a part of something, maybe even from a size of business / age of business, younger side of things, and something that you can build on. So you just joined Novella Energy Solutions, right? So this is fresh.
Yeah, I'm like a month in. I was one of those. I was one of the ones in the great resignation. The COVID hit us all really hard, and I knew Lola Red I wasn't passionate about PR by any means. I was passionate about the people and the people I worked with. But I needed to do something that gave me like everything, the whole comprehensive, I can be tied to the values and tied to the people, and help us grow. So so I actually worked with a career coach, executive career coach. I had started in executive leadership at a very young age, and so I needed a chance to be a part of a larger organization where I can be pushed differently, where I could be mentored. Like we've talked about a lot on this podcast. Apparently, I love being caught on my bullshit, and so I needed an organization that allowed that too. Novel's a solar energy company. They are a developer. So we do both community solar gardens, which are large scale on farmland. So we started as a group of farmers that said, hey, there's all this land we don't use. Let's do something with it. And so they turned it into a community solar garden. Next thing you know, we're leasing land, all across the country from farmers that can't use it. So it's a win-win. There's a lot of great upside there. That's been my month. I'm the sales director, so I still get to motivate people, which is what I love. Use my psychology, which I need to. It's a piece of who I am. And also I made it, I had to be a part of the executive team. So I once you see behind the curtain how the sausage is made, it's very hard to be on the other side. Right. And so being influential at that level is important for me.
Yeah. Well, plus it's something that I know a lot of people find really fascinating and would want to be attached to, which is, sustainability and solar power is a big part of that. And I think it's somewhat controversial. I live in farm country, so sometimes it's a little controversial because depending on how that land is being utilized, farm communities don't want to see that land going to solar gardens when it's usable. I think the key is trying to find that balance between usable versus unusable land, and then how to best utilize that.
And that's why we've been successful. It's because it's a family-owned farm. I mean, I don't remember how old their farm is, maybe 50, 60 years. I mean, it's been around for a long time. We're having conversations from farmer to farmer, more than anything, about their land, because you're totally right. And we don't want to disrupt generations of, it's a personal thing to pass land on from generation to generation. And so we're very careful about that, especially as we're doing a lot of work in Maine right now. It's a deep farming community. And so we want to make sure we're respectful of that. But beyond that, it's also just connecting. I mean, back to renewables, like it's part of who we are now. I mean, we don't believe, as an organization, we don't believe in one type of energy. It's not going to work. Solar would not work for the world by itself. But how can we play nice with other types of renewables and our core use of energy? Excel is the reason that we exist in so many ways. So, but we need to have a more balanced energy system, and so that's what I've been passionate about, and get to kind of toy with now in this new role.
And so you've been there for, I think it's been actually a little over a month, hasn't it? So
6 weeks,
yeah, something like that. Yeah. What's been the biggest, like, either I don't want to say aha moment again, but I'm going to lean towards aha / cuff upside the head that you've experienced in your first 6 weeks there?
I don't know shit. It's amazing. I mean, it's the most humbling experience. I mean, I've been thrown into the fire, and when do you get to start a totally new industry? And I've done that a few times in my career, as you can tell. But this is one where, I'm speaking in kilowatts and megawatts here. I never had to do that before.
Yeah.
What's also been an aha is it's all the same, as different as it is. It's all about people in the end, right? If you can motivate people, you can sell anything. If you can find a way to connect our product to a need, it's the same. And that has been, I've always known that, but being thrown into an industry we know nothing about, you lean back on your instinct even more. It's and my instinct is to go with what I know, which is people. How do I move people? So we've already made some really cool gains, a lot of change, building systems to impact the whole organization. So it's been cool.
Cool. Well, I think it's a super cool business that you got into. You've got a fun journey. I have a couple questions that I'm going to ask you during 9 questions that hopefully we can get a little bit more insight into you. So I'm going to transition into those. Can you confirm that you have no idea what I'm about to ask you?
I can confirm.
All right, good. Are you nervous or are you excited or neither?
I don't do nervous, which is a problem. You should always be nervous at some point.
I know. I always get butterflies before I record this podcast, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
Like this is, I think, our 20th episode, and I should kind of have it down, but I don't know. And I know you, and it's just, we're basically just doing a Zoom call where, we could just be BSing. So
recorded?
Whatever. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Shocker. Yes. Did I not tell you that? Yeah. All right. First question. What is one quality in a person that impresses you?
I would say being down to earth and humble. Those that are really successful and are just very down to earth and humble. Very impressed.
Cool.
Hard to do.
What was your favorite cartoon as a child?
Ren and Stimpy.
I love it. That's I'm telling you, I'll tell you, this is effed up, but every time I go out and I chop wood, so I chop wood on our back. You are out at our place on Saturday, and I go and I have a little area. Yeah, it's big, it's heavy, it's
better
wood,
than that. It's good. Yeah.
I love Ren and Stimpy too.
So good.
I heard they're kind of making a comeback a little bit, aren't they doing some new stuff on Netflix or something?
I have no idea, but I did actually see it recently, and I was like, why was I allowed to watch this? Like, it's awful, but also great. Yeah.
It's one of those, it's so smart that some of the stuff, the undertones of what they're doing, you forget, you don't even know about as if you're a young kid. But as you got older, and I was watching that stuff in my younger teens, I was like, holy smokes, they can say this?
Yeah, I know, right? We broke barriers. Oh, yeah.
I love it. Okay, this one's a loaded one. Describe your college experience in 3 words.
Very fucked up. Sorry, you said I could curse.
Yeah, it's all good. Why? All right, now dig into it.
Yeah. So, freshman year, this was my turning point too. So it's a big.
Yeah. This is your paradigm shift. Yep.
This is part one of them. I mean, there's many. I think this is not my career paradigm shift, but it was a life paradigm shift. But I was in a fraternity. I did not really dig the fraternity, but I was in a car on my way to see Tom Petty in concert with my fraternity. They were in a bus. I was in a car because we were going up early, and I was pulled over. And they found drugs on the driver, and didn't know that there were pretty hardcore drugs. Didn't know there were drugs in the car. And I was arrested, and I spent 2 days in jail because I refused to call my parents. Yeah, so it was a Kingman, Arizona. Won't go back there.
Jeez.
I don't know why you would. But it's for like, it was the slap in the face, right? It was the like, I was having way too good of a time. Was not giving shit about the work I was doing. And back to Erin, thank God she was there. She was the only person I could call. She was the person I called from jail.
Really?
So
she bailed you out?
Yeah. So it was a big paradigm shift. She called my parents. She would have. But she was my support all through, because I was on probation for a year, so I couldn't get in trouble. Pretty, it was a pretty dark place for a while, but so glad it happened. I don't want my kids to do that, but I'm very glad it happened to me.
What is this is not one of your 9 questions, but I find this fascinating. What is jail like in Kingman, Arizona?
Awful. True story. They brought us lunch, and I begged them not to bring me into like general population. I was just in a holding cell. Some guy came up to me and he's like, I killed some, it's not true, I'm sure. He's like, I killed some guy, and they sent dogs after me, and I bit the dog. Can I have your lunch? And I was like, yep, here you go. You can have my lunch. Sure, it's not true at all, but it's like, yep, absolutely. Right. You can just leave me alone, take whatever you want.
Right. When you're 18 or 19, who cares? Like, just eat my lunch. Yep. I'll figure it out.
Yep. No problem. So
yeah.
that was big.
Well, I needed to make sure that we could get that story in because that had to happen. So
Yeah,
that was
yeah,
a loaded
for sure.
question.
It's the abbreviated version.
Yeah, that's. I'll share your. You can share how people can get a hold of you, so then they can get to know that story.
Perfect. I love it. Yeah.
If they want to. Yeah. What is one thing on your bucket list?
I really want to live in another country of any kind, like for an extended period of time. That's high up there. The other is that I want to run a nonprofit at some point, like retire and run a nonprofit. And last, I'll give you a third. I want to own a bagel shop that doesn't make money, so I can just hang around with like a bunch of old folks and just talk over coffee and bagels.
Yeah,
those are my bucket list items.
I love it. You gave me 3 of them, and I love all 3 of them.
There you go.
I like the bagel shop idea. That would be depend on where the location is. You might get the right people and learn a lot of different things about people.
Yeah, I don't want to make any money. I don't want to have to make it profitable. I just want to hang around, eat bagels and have coffee, and throw out a couple bagels to some people. Yeah,
I love it. Maybe you can roll together the bagel thing and the nonprofit thing and make it one big happy.
There you go. There you go. You're donating? You want to put it in the first?
I was gonna say maybe after this podcast we should have another conversation.
I like that. That's
good. All right. What is your favorite piece of clothing?
This vest. I just got this vest actually, and I've worn it almost every day. I'm not a vest guy. It was a big move because being a vest guy, you change your personality.
Yep. I'm a vest guy.
It's a rough. Yeah, I know. That's why I'm bringing it up. Yep. Actually, I saw you in a vest and was like, I want to be like him. That's not true, but this vest that's not a joke.
Can you this is not, we don't have any sponsors yet for the podcast. I'm working towards that for next year, but let's get them a shout out. Who is this?
Howler Brothers. So there's a cool Jackson Gray, is a new store ish. And they bring all the Instagram products that are out there into a store.
Cool.
So I walked in one day and they told me I had to buy this. And I was like, if you're telling me I have to buy it, I must have to buy it. So I did.
I think that's a great idea actually for a store, because you see all that Instagram stuff and I like some of it is really intriguing. I saw a camera stand on there, and it was a couple $100, but for a nice camera stand, that seems decent. And I'm like, is this thing even vetted? But that's a great idea.
Isn't it? It's brilliant. And they know the backstory. So there's 72 different companies in the store. And they were able to tell me like who these guys are from Austin, Texas, and here's what they're doing. So it's cool. Otherwise, I just buy that stuff online, and you pray it doesn't fall apart when you get it.
Exactly, and maybe 6 months later, it's in the garbage.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. What is the last gift that you were given?
Oh my God, it's the last gift I've ever given.
Anything goes too.
No, I know. I have no idea. I just asked for a gift. My birthday is October 28th. So I just asked for, oh no, I do know. I got, we're a Peloton family. So I got, Aaron got me a whole bunch of weights, which is why I look like this today.
Right. You look pretty jacked.
Don't laugh.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, you look jacked. Yep.
Yeah, I know. This is a podcast. They can't see me. So yeah, I look jacked.
Yeah, you do. You look amazing. Yeah, for sure. What was the gift that you asked for your birthday?
A Carhartt backpack. I needed like a good solid utility backpack to because I'm going to travel. We're going to get the hell out of here as soon as I can. I will take every vaccine that comes my way.
Yeah, hammer out this bucket list.
That's right.
What is the average time you wake up, and what is the average time you go to bed?
Wake up is 5:30. We take turns working out every morning. Sadly, my son is up at like 5:40, so that's something. Bedtime, Aaron would call bullshit. Like 10:30, 11. Yeah, I think that's
and why would she call bullshit? What is it?
I always say that, and she's like, "There's no way we're up that late." And
yeah, right.
I always disagree.
I'm unapologetic about the fact that I get in bed at 8:45 usually at night, and and I'll watch TV or go on my iPad for about half an hour, but I'm out by 9:15.
Yeah, I mean, I'm totally with you, and that's great. I'm way more of a morning person, but I don't care. I gotta sleep. I'm an awful human if I don't.
Yeah, me too. Where is your happy place?
It's a good question. I think honestly, and like, again, I'm jacked, but I am happiest when I am active. When I don't sit well, I just don't. I can't. I mean, like I'll watch TV here and there, but like, so anytime I'm active, be it outside, be it inside, got to be moving.
Yeah, cool. All right, last one. What is the best piece of advice that you've ever received?
I just gave it to somebody. I can't remember what I said. It was brilliant though. Somebody's best piece of advice. You don't know everything.
Right.
You don't know everything. I don't heed it enough. It's just so simple, but like you just don't.
Yeah,
that's
think
not what I
everybody
gave.
could.
It just said. So I just gave like I have a mentor that gave me a great piece of advice that I just told somebody like this morning. And
Who's the mentor?
So it was my old boss at the school, actually. He's just a brilliant human being, and he's around lots of little brilliant human beings. So
yeah. Is that school here? I never asked you this. Is that school here local here?
Yeah, it's here. It's the Jewish Day School.
Let's give him a shout out. What's his name?
I will. Yoni Binus. Aaron will laugh. He is actually just finishing up at the school. I don't know what he'll do next. But I don't think it'll be in education. He thinks in game theory. He thinks 5 steps ahead of everybody else. So
sweet. Sounds like a good person to start a nonprofit bagel shop with.
Oh, well done. I mean, as investor number 1, you're already hiring our board. I love it.
I like it. Hey man, I was so excited about doing this podcast. I love your attitude. I've loved getting to know you and be friends with you. I love your dry sense of humor. Like you're so witty and fun to have conversations with. I could probably sit and just bullshit with you all day, but we do have to put a cap on this thing. Where can people find you?
You can. I'm going to throw out because I love this community. First of all, I want to just. Let's stop and turn it back on you. I'm sure you hate that, but the Coalition 9 has been incredible for me personally. I've done executive peer groups for years, but there's something about a true community, and I always say it takes 2 to make a community, or in this case 9. And my group is incredibly strong because we all contribute, and you are the brainchild of that and help spur that. So thank you. You can find me I'll throw out my personal email because I'm a part of this community, sawerde@gmail.com. Awesome. Or we'll just go with that. That's good.
And you're on LinkedIn. You do pretty good. Oh, hey,
I have to update it.
You need to do a better job of updating your profile. So anybody listening to this, click on the link for Skylar's profile. If he hasn't updated it to Novel Energy Solutions as being the sales director, then send him a message on LinkedIn and tell him to get his shit together, because as of right now, when we're recording this, it does not show that. So
it's been on my list for 2 months. Yeah, you're right. So I'm not good at it. All right. Well, find me there. I'm the sales director. I'll make it say that. All right, guys.
I'm going to put the link. Dude, you're so great. I love having you part of the community, and you're a good friend.
Awesome. Same. Looking forward to doing this, not recorded. We'll talk soon.
Yeah, me too. On behalf of Skylar Werde, this has been the Power of 9 podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Eggert, and I want to thank you for the privilege of your time.